Hill climbing. What do you like hill climbing, Owen? Have you done a hill climb? Have you done the nationals?
I have done hill climb. I hated the actual hill climb itself, but it's incredible. I loved the hill climb. It's like this juxtaposition of the effort, which is possibly the most pain you'll ever put yourself through on a bike, versus the experience, which is bloody epic. Have you reached the National Hill Climb Championships before?
I have. I've done a few hill climbs, and I did do the National Hill Climb in 2023, or 2022. I can't quite remember. 1 or 2 years ago, it was in North Wales somewhere, far away in the north, and it's an incredible event. I think it's probably one of my favourite events of the year, and it's something that's very uniquely British. But if you haven't seen the photos from it or any videos, there's lots of amazing content. We'll throw some names out in a bit of people to check out. But you've got crowds that are like 6-7 people deep on these random country lane climbs that are like 25% or something stupid. But it's a really, really cool atmosphere. But the national champs just gone the winner did it in just over 3 minutes. So a relatively short climb for the national champs. They kind of bounce between, the shortest ones will be like 2-3 minutes, and then the longest ones will be kind of 15 to 20 minutes. Just a time trial, bottom to top, who's the fastest. This year was won by Monument Cycling friend Harry Mack, and we made a power graph from his performance. So he did 3 minutes 09 at 610 watts at 8.8 watts per kilo.
It's insane. Like I remember doing my hill reps on like maybe a 4-minute climb. I used to, when I was training, do this at about 450 watts, or maybe a bit less. And to think that Harry Mack is hammering out 600 watts on that climb is utterly mind-blowing. And I mean, it shows, because he beat Andrew Feather. Andrew Feather being like the sort of the generational GOAT right now, if that makes sense, of hill climbing. Enough that he's almost made a career out of it. He's become a presenter on GCN, with his know-how, with his with his experience in aero and lightweight racing. And Harry Mack, like this new blood, suddenly comes up. He wins like 6 races of the hill climb season, and then topples the king in the nationals. So there's this brilliant like story coming through, and what a great guy to do it as well. Yeah,
he's we talk about characters a lot in the sport and how we want more kind of fun characters, just interesting people. Harry Mack definitely fits that description. If you don't know who he is, just go and follow him on Instagram. He's always getting up to some crazy stuff. He's done a few bikepacking trips on his YouTube that you can check out, and lots of fun videos on his Instagram account. But this kind of sums up Harry from last year. Extremely quick, a little bit loose, and it's probably a nice way of putting it. He turned up to the Nationals last year and forgot his skin suit, and ended up finishing a couple of seconds off the podium in a spare jersey and shorts that somebody gave him, I think. So he missed out on the national podium last year at the hill climb because he forgot his skin suit.
I swear he didn't this year. I read that he'd had a few pints before the race as well. Like,
yeah, apparently he had two pints of.
It is insane, because he's a really good rider as well. He's had a few top 10s, top 5s in the National Road and National Circuit Series. This is a guy who, when we were doing the power graphic, he weighs 69 kilos. So he can get up these races like East Cleveland, where you'll have, over 1,000, 1,500 meters of climbing in the race, finishing up a 15-20% climb. He's this perfect blend of like power versus lightweight. So to think the power numbers that he's putting out are almost, you're more likely to see those numbers on the world tour, really shows just how strong Harry is. But not necessarily, I don't think we're necessarily saying Harry should be on the world tour right now, but it shows how incredible hill climbing is, doesn't it?
Exactly. I mean, the sort of guys that are in the top 10 are all incredible cyclists in their own right, very good at road racing as well. Like, it's pretty transferable. If you can go up a hill at 600 watts, you can do pretty well in a race. But I find it so interesting that this is such like a hyper-focused niche within cycling. Like, I think these guys that are getting top 10s every year at the National Hill Climb are probably the best riders in the world at riding up 5 to 10 minute climbs as hard as they can once.
Yeah. I'm not gonna deny that. I think that's 100% true. You're probably only going to see, people like Tadej Pogačar, of course, is going to beat Harry Mack up a climb. Although I want to see that race, let's try and make it happen. Can you imagine Tadej Pogačar turning up to a hill climb? It would be nuts.
Yeah, Tadej versus Harry along a country lane next to each other, just a drag race for a few minutes.
Make it happen. These riders are, I think I compared it to your 1500 meter rider is going to have an incredible kick at the end of 100 meters or 200 meters, the final 200 meters of a race. But these guys are your 200 meter sprinters in a way. They are the specialist that is going to beat a World Tour rider, any given World Tour rider in that event. And it's incredible to think that there's this underlying level of talent that, if nurtured a bit, could actually step up to the World Tour and not be out of place.
Potentially. I don't think all of these riders, I don't think it's all transferable. But I think
of course.
I think it is just like when we say that the numbers are World Tour level, that's in no way saying that they can just step into the World Tour. It's just that I've done power graphics for World Tour riders that is far lower than the numbers that Harry was putting out at the National Hill Climb.
Yeah.
Obviously, again, with the context of these riders are training to do it at the end of 250k in a classic, like it's a different kind of training. But these numbers are just insane, like that.
Do you think? Now this is a crazy idea. I'm comparing hill climbers to World Tour riders and saying, if given the right circumstances, they could step up to the World Tour. What if hill climbing was a massive sport in its own right, where you didn't have to compare like that? If you just could say, this guy's the best hill climber in the world, and he actually makes a living doing that. Would people watch hill climb races if that were the case?
I'm going to have to put my traditionalist hat on and be a bit... I like that it's a little niche within the UK. I don't think it necessarily needs to be globalised and kind of...
Not everything has to get private equity.
It's such a weird little fun part of the season. It's like 2 months long, maybe even a month long for most people in October, September. The point of it is that it's kind of attached onto the end of the road season. These guys have all been smashing out road races all year, with the exception of probably Andrew Feather. He's probably one of the only guys that focus exclusively on it, which makes it even better that he was beaten. Nothing against Andrew Feather. It's just a cool story that somebody that, just a bit of an outsider. I mean, he's not an outsider anymore, but when you're fighting against Andrew Feather, it's you're always going to be a little bit of an underdog.
Yeah. I'll tell you, Illy Gardner wasn't an underdog on the women's race. I mean, she comes into that. She's already been smashing comms. She's raced at a UCI level. I think when you see someone like her turning up as well, it shows how wide the appeal is. I think I remember David Miller turning up to one of the hill climbs I did once, or maybe not that I did, or maybe it was just on the scene. But riders who are incredible look at this and go, "Yeah, I'll do that."
I think
Illy Gardner.
I'm fairly certain Chris Boardman has won a couple of National Hill Climbs.
Yeah,
which is an interesting point. I'd really like some of the British pros, the World Tour riders, to come and give it a go for a couple of years. I know Paul Double podiumed a few years ago, who's now racing for, I think he's just about to step up for Jaco Alula. He's definitely got a World Tour contract for next year. But he did it as a bit of fun, basically, at the end of his this is not a borrowed bike, if I remember correctly. But yeah, Illy Gardner over in the women destroyed the National Hill Climb champs again. She's won it a few times now, if I properly. I know she's been out in the summer taking a lot of KOMs. I think she took one in the Alps. It might have been the Alpe d'Huez KOM, which is obviously very competitive. So she's clearly got the talent there. But didn't she step up last year to a higher team and then kind of
And then she stepped back down, I think, to take some time for herself, which often happens, you know, like it's a tough career, and things like hill climbs are good fun. So take some time to step back and find out why you love cycling again. And that's one of the reasons more people should check it out, because this is the sort of sport that the people do for fun. You know, they do it because it's an enjoyable part of the season. So, you know, if Illy Gardner can find some joy there, and Harry Mack and people like Paul Double, Chris Boardman have done it, like, more people should be watching hill climbs.
Yeah,
don't sleep on it.
I'd recommend every single cyclist at any level to just give it a go. It's so accessible. It's really easy to kind of compare yourself and see some improvement if you do a couple over a couple of months. It's pretty simple to train for. Maybe not at the level if you're going for the win, but you know, just ride up some hills really quickly, and you'll go quicker after a few weeks. Like, it's not really rocket science. Yeah, I'd recommend everyone checking it out. Really good atmosphere, really good bunch of supporters that follow the scene. Some really good diehard supporters. Go and check out Illy Gardner and Harry Mack on Instagram, and enter some hill climbs for next year. They normally kick off at kind of early September, very late August, and yeah, go and win national champs. Try and beat Harry next year.